Good morning, MPPNs. Once again, I'm with you to teach you what we are going to learn. We are going to learn social studies. Chapter number 1. The name of the chapter is When, Where, and How. Part number 2. You had completed the first part before 2 days, is it? Now we will see part number 2. Have a look on the contents. What are we going to learn in this part, in this session? Time frame, major developments, sources of history, archaeological and a literary source. There are only 3 headings, 3 topics which we are going to cover. Sources of history, there are 2 sources of history. They are archaeological and a literary source. So you are ready to go? Right? We are going to the first topic. Which is that? That is time frame. Time frame. What is time frame? The Indian history is divided into 3 periods. And what are they? Number 1, ancient period, which spreads up to the 7th century. Second one is medieval period, from the 8th century to the middle of the 18th century. Third one is modern period, from the middle of the 18th century to the contemporary times, from up to the 7th century AD. From BC onwards to the 7th century, that becomes a part of ancient period that you have covered last year in class 6th. This year you are going to learn about the medieval history. Medieval period extends from 8th century to the middle of the 18th century, and next year you will learn about the modern period. That modern period extends from the middle of the 18th century to the contemporary times. Okay, ready now? This is what the time frame. This division of time by the historians is called as time frame. Okay. This medieval period. Now we are moving to learn about the medieval period. The start of the medieval period is characterized by changes in the political, social and economic spheres, while the end of this period denotes the decline of the Mughals. Medieval period starts in the 8th century and ends in the middle of 18th century, and it starts, the beginning of this period is characterized, it has the features. What are the features? Changes in the political, social and economic spheres, the changes which took place in the political field, social field and economic field. But when it ended in the 18th century, that what was the important character, what was the important feature? That is the decline of the Mughals. So in class 7th you are going to learn about these political, social and economic changes till the decline of the Mughals. So you are ready now? We are moving to learn about some more features of medieval period. What are they? See, these are the common pictures which denotes the medieval period. Some Mughal rulers, some of the monuments, forts, then paintings, then war by the British in the very beginning of the 18th century. So these are the most important, we should say, attractions. It is not attraction actually, but the important characteristics of the medieval period are all of these things, right? Moving ahead to some more features of medieval period. The medieval period in India is divided into 2 parts. Medieval period is divided into 2 parts. What are they? Early medieval period and late medieval period. The time which extends from 8th to 18th century. The 10 centuries. 10th century means 10 into 100 years, 1000 years. So this 1000 years, that period has been divided into 2 periods, early medieval and late medieval. There are many of the characteristics of this period. I told you, I'll show you one. What is this? This is the different dance forms of India. Almost all these dance forms of India developed during the medieval period. Medieval period was a period in India which could be seen with a lot of developments in different fields. The whole book, history book of class 7, that deals with all these changes and all. Okay, moving ahead, we will learn about the major developments which took place during this period. What were the major developments of the medieval period? Have a look here. Number one, we are more familiar to this period due to sufficient information. We have a good amount of information about the medieval period, so we are more familiar with this period. Then regional languages were developed. The local languages were developed during this period. You can see a photo. You can see some languages like Hindi, then what else there? Odia, Nepali, Tamil, Gujarati, Marathi, Konkani, like this. These different kinds of local languages, regional languages developed during the medieval period. Okay, it is not over. We will learn some more features of the developments of the medieval period. What are they? Number three, our food and clothes evolved. The clothes we wear today and the food items we prepare today, all these things were developed during the medieval period. New religions, religious beliefs and social customs and traditions originated. New religions came into being. New religious beliefs developed in the country, among the people. Social customs were introduced. Kind of traditions were originated in our country. I told you that this is a period which is characterized by a lot of developments in the different fields of the spheres of the life. Okay, some photos are there. What is this? Food. And this food habits the people developed during the medieval period. Here, this is what the clothing also. In the previous time, when the medieval period started, the people did not have even this type of food habit, the clothing habit, but now they have changed into today's clothing habits. That all these changes or those developments occurred in the medieval period, right? So we are moving to the fifth development. What is the fifth development? Have a look here. Indian culture developed with a fusion of Hindu and Muslim cultural traits. Okay, this integration reflects in art, architecture, literature, music, painting, etc. Our culture was formed. Whatever culture we can see today, that was formed as a fusion of Hindu and Muslim cultural traits. Because when the Mughals come, this medieval period is characterized by Mughal or Muslim dynasties. These Muslim dynasties came from different parts of Asia, particularly the western part of Asia and western part of India. Okay, they from Central Asia they reached over here and they conquered different territories of India, particularly centered in Delhi, and they had a great influence in our country. They brought a large number of other people also with them. Thus, the number of the Muslims increased in our country, and the Indians developed a culture as a fusion of Hinduism and Islam in the country. Okay, and that culture, development of culture, could be seen in almost all the fields of our life, like art, architecture, literature, music, painting, etc. So we are moving to the sixth feature, sixth development. What is that? A great harmony and tolerance among the people with the efforts of Bhakti and Sufi saints. Bhakti movement was popularized during that time among the Hindus. There were many leaders or many saints who popularized the Bhakti movement. You might have heard about Mirabai. She was one of the eminent supporters of the Bhakti movement. Okay, then Sufi saints among the Muslims, they brought about a better understanding of the fundamental principles of Hinduism and Islam, which caused a greater harmony and tolerance among the people. The activities of these Bhakti and Sufi saints led to a harmony and tolerance among the Hindus and Muslims of India. Okay, have a look in this picture. The first picture tells you about the Sufism. Okay, Sufi saint is teaching his disciple. Second one is telling about the Bhakti movement. Kabir was also one of the leaders of the Bhakti movement. He also teaches his disciples. So these gurus or saints, they tried to bring harmony and peace among the people. So Hindus and Muslims could live in harmony in our country during the medieval period, right? Moving ahead to the seventh development. What was that? Have a look here. Introduction of currency. the medieval period saw the development, the minting of currency, which led to the economic development of the country and marked improvement in agriculture and expansion in trade and commerce. When currency was introduced, that had an impact upon different spheres of our life, like agriculture, trade, commerce, industries, etc., production. Okay, so this currency, that was a major development during the medieval period. Eighth one, what is the eighth one? Trade relations with the European countries. During this was a time when a large number of Europeans came to India. Portuguese, Dutch, French, Spanish, then British. There were a large number of Europeans came to India to have a trade relationship, because in our country was a prospered one. Our country's economic prosperity attracted these European traders, and we were famous for the production of some materials like spices, cotton, etc. And these things attracted the foreigners to our country, Europeans to our country during the medieval period only. And the last development, this is what the deterioration of the position of women in the society. Though there were these many positive changes in the society during the medieval period, yet we could see a deterioration. Deterioration means a decline. There was a decline in the position of women in the society. Till that time, in the ancient history in our country, we could see that women were worshipped, you should say, or women had a good status in the society. They were given a position in the society in the ancient period. But when we reached to the medieval period, as we developed in the other spheres, but a deterioration occurred in the position and the status of women in the society. This is what the picture shows, the trade routes. Okay, Europe, you can see Europe and Europeans they use different routes, sea routes as well as land routes to reach over India. Okay, this red color indicates the land routes and blue color indicates the sea routes. And by using these routes, they reached over India, and they started trade relations with India, right? So we have completed the major developments of this period. You have understood now? Okay, moving ahead to the next topic. What is that? Sources of history. Now we will learn about the sources of this history of medieval period. How do we know about the medieval period? There should be some sources to learn about the medieval period, because we did not live during that time. No, there was nobody living in the among us. There was nobody living in the medieval period. So how can we know about the medieval period's history? There are some sources for that. What are they? There are two main sources of medieval Indian history. Mainly there are two sources of medieval Indian history. What are they? They are archaeological sources and literary sources. Number one is archaeological source. Number two is literary source. There are mainly two sources of the medieval Indian history. Now we will learn more about the archaeological and literary sources. Ready? Okay, now moving to the archaeological source. The different kinds of archaeological sources of the medieval period are available are. And tell me, what are the archaeological sources? Do you know? Archaeological sources means the remains, whatever things they used, they are maintained and preserved. They are known as the archaeological sources. And what are the different kinds of archaeological sources? Inscription, coin, monuments, temples, forts and palaces. There are three kinds of archaeological sources available about the medieval period. What are they? Inscriptions, coins, monuments, temples, forts and palaces. So shall we learn about them? Okay, we are moving to inscription. What are inscriptions? Information written on plates of copper or engraved on stones or rocks are called inscriptions. The information which are written on plates of copper or engraved on stones, either written on the copper or stones or rocks. Okay, that is known as inscription, and these types of inscriptions are found in large numbers in several villages and temples in our country. And these inscriptions provide us authentic information about the important events and their dates, the qualities and the achievements of the rulers, art, administration, etc. Okay, this is what the picture of an inscription. On a pillar it has been written. Okay, on a hard surface when information has been given, that is known as inscription. Moving ahead to some more details about the inscription, I told you, as I told you just now, they provide us authentic information about important events and their dates, the qualities and achievements of the rulers, their art, administration, etc. We can come to know a lot about the rulers and the administration of that time from the inscriptions. And the study of inscriptions is called epigraphy. What is epigraphy? Epigraphy is the study of inscriptions. So you have come to know about inscription. Okay, moving ahead to the next one, coin. They throw a good deal of light on important historical personalities, events and economical conditions of the period. We can come to know about the rulers, their personality, the important events, the economic condition of the period. Everything can be understood by studying the coins. And what is known as the study of coins is called numismatics. What is numismatics? The study of coins is called numismatics. I'll show you the coins. See, these were two of the coins which were prevailed during the medieval period. Different rulers minted different kinds of coins in the country. Okay, and these coins were very much helpful to learn, to know about the medieval period, right? Moving to the third one, what is that? Monuments, temples, forts and palaces. These are the archaeological sources. Archaeological sources are of three kinds. Number one, inscription. Number two, coin. Number three, these buildings. What are the buildings? Monuments, temples, forts and palaces. First of all, we will learn about temples. Okay, I'll show you the pictures. This picture is of Brihadeshwara temple at Tanjavur. See the picture. This is what the temple, what an architecture. See, these temples, these types of temples were built during the medieval period. I'll show you some more temples. This is Kandariya Mahadev temple at Khajuraho. See, another architectural style. Okay, then next one. What is the next temple? Have a look here. This is Lingaraja temple at Bhubaneswar. These are what the architectural styles to build the temples in our country. One more temple. Have a look here. It is Kailashnath temple at Ellora. See, Kailashnath temple, this Ellora, Ajanta, these are famous for caves. These are there. You can see this temple is leading, one of its entrances leading to a cave also. Okay, and there are a lot of inscriptions done on it. On that pillar you can see some of informations have been given. Then beautiful rock cuttings have been there. This temple has been built out of the cutting of rock. It has been engraved on the rock only. Okay, then these are the important temples which were built during the medieval period. Now we will see what is the next. We will learn about monuments. There were a large number of monuments built in our country during this time. I will show you some of them. First of all, Qutub Minar at Mehrauli. What is the picture is very familiar to you. Okay. Second one. What is the second one? It is Vijay Stambha at Chittor. Vijay Stambha. Okay. It is also built it was also built during the medieval period. Then the third one. What is that? Buland Darwaja at Fatehpur Sikri. You might have heard about it, no? Buland Darwaja, Buland. Okay, it is Buland Darwaja at Fatehpur Sikri. Then the next one more monument I'll show you. What is that? What is that? You have a look here. What is this? Taj Mahal. Taj Mahal at Agra, which attracts millions of tourists every year. Not from India, but from abroad also. A miracle in white marble, right? So these kinds of monuments and temples were built during this period. Not only monuments and temples, but two more are remaining. What are they? Forts and palaces. So we will now move on to forts. Okay, let us have a look. What are the forts which were built during this period? Red Fort, very common to you, because on Independence Day celebration the flag hoisting ceremony is done in the Red Fort, at the Red Fort. Okay, next fort I'll show you. What is that? It is Chittor Fort in Rajasthan. Okay, this is what a style of making the fort, the kingdom, the rulers, for the safety of the people and the ruler. The forts were used to be built. You can see the Vijay Sambha also at Chittor in the fort. Okay, this is what Chittor Fort and Chittor in Rajasthan. Then other one is Agra Fort. Where is Agra Fort? At Agra. Okay, this is what Agra Fort, built in Agra. Then one more fort I'll show you. What is that? It is Gwalior Fort. Okay, Gwalior Fort in MP. Today's MP. It is, the fort has been built over a high altitude. Okay, so that they can protect them from the enemies. Now the next one, we are moving to the next one. What is that? Palace. I'll show you some palaces. It is Jaisalmer Palace in Rajasthan. See, it is a wonder, right? The building style. This is a palace in which the ruler lived. Next one, I'll show you one more palace also. That is Jaipur Palace. Have a look here. This is what the Jaipur Palace. All these kinds of buildings were made during this period. Now we are moving to the literary source. Okay. Now I told you there are two types of sources available to study about the medieval history. Number one, archaeological source. Number two, literary source. Archaeological sources include, what are they? Inscriptions, coins, monuments, temples, forts and palaces. Second one is literary source. What are literary sources? Literary sources were the other writing materials. Okay, the early writing was done on palm leaves and bark of trees. In the early period, in the earlier time when people started writing, what did they use to write? They used palm leaves or bark of trees. Bark of particularly birch trees were used to write. Okay, and from the 13th century onwards, paper began to be used for writing books. It came from, the technology to make paper came from abroad, and we started using this technology to make paper from the 13th century. 13th century means it starts from 1200. From 1200 onwards, we started using paper to write the books. Till the time, what did we use? We used palm leaves and bark of trees. I'll show you the pictures. This is what a manuscript. Manuscript means it is a literary source written on a soft surface. You have learned it last year. It is written on palm leaf. Okay. Then next is, it is written on the bark of the tree. All these were the things used in the past to record the things. Okay. And what are the literary sources available for the medieval period? Let us have a look here. They are autobiographies or memoirs, biography and chronicles, literary works, accounts by foreign travelers and historians, and secular literature. These are the 5 kinds of literary sources available about the medieval period. Have a look here. This is what a book, this is what literary source. All the written materials on soft surfaces are known as literary sources, written material. Okay, and all the hard materials, which are the like buildings, they are known as archaeological sources. This book History of Medieval India, this is a book and it comes under literary source. Learn more about these sources now. The first one, autobiographies or memoirs. Okay, there were different autobiographies written during this period. Have a look. The memoirs of Babur and Jahangir were autobiographical accounts of their period. What is autobiography? When a person writes his own story, that is known as autobiography or memoir. and these were written in the first person. So whatever has been written, that I went there, I did so, I talked to him like this, in this way it is written in the first person, because the person himself, yeah, or herself wrote the book, and that type of book is known as autobiography. Okay, moving to some other literary works. Okay, they include the autobiographies and memoirs like Tujuki Babri, Tujuki Jahangiri, and Aine Akbari. They were the autobiographies, or they were the literary works. Okay, and they are illustrated with miniature paintings, and they throw light on the development of art and painting. These autobiographies, they are different from the other autobiographies because they have been illustrated with miniature painting. What is miniature painting? It is a particular form of painting developed during the medieval period in our country. I'll show you an example. Look at this picture. This style of painting is somewhat different from the other styles of painting, and this way of painting is known as miniature painting. This is a picture which shows this Akbar's court, and Akbar has been presented by his biography Akbarnama by the author Abul Fasl. This is what the picture indicates. These types of paintings were done in the autobiographies also, right? Moving ahead to the next one. What is it? Biography and chronicles. Biography, if a person's story is written by somebody else. Suppose you write my story, my life story, then that is known as a biography. If I myself write my life story, then that is known as autobiography, auto, self. Okay, chronicle. Chronicles means the books which are written by some person in a detailed way, in the series, in the sequence of incidents or events, in the same sequence as it happened. An expansion of the thing has been given. That type of book is known as chronicle. Okay, what were the biographies and chronicles written? The various authors wrote chronicles about the life and activities of rulers and dynasties. Many were there. Many authors were prospered by the Mughal rulers, particularly during this time, and they were encouraged, they were patroned by the Mughals, and they wrote the chronicles about the life and activities of rulers and their dynasties. And from those books we are getting good information about the medieval period. Have a look at the books which were written, biographies which were written during the period. Rajtarangini by Kalhana. Kalhana wrote Rajtarangini. Next one, Kumarapal Charita by Kshemendra. Kshemendra wrote Kumarapal Charita. Next one, Prithviraj Raso by Chandabardai. Chandabardai wrote Prithviraj Raso. The other one, Akbarnama by Abul Fasl. I told you, no, Abul Fasl wrote Akbarnama. Then Dashkumara Charita by Dandin. Dandin wrote Dashkumara Charita. The next one is Harsha Charita by Bana. Bana wrote Harsha Charita. Then Vikramanga Deva by Bilhana. Bilhana wrote Vikramanga Deva. These are the books. Now see the picture of a chronicle. This is a chronicle of the world history. Almost all the incidents of the world have been included in on the cover page. This is what a book, this is what a chronicle. Okay, so shall we continue? Okay, these are the biographies and the chronicles. Now moving to the next. Next is accounts by foreign travelers and historians. There were a large number of travelers visited India during this period, and they wrote a detailed information. They gave us a detailed information about the medieval period. They are also a good source of information about the medieval period. Al-Biruni, the first one. He was a foreign traveler who visited India in the 11th century. He wrote about contemporary history, geography, astronomy, philosophy, etc. Al-Biruni was a foreign traveler. He visited India in the 11th century, and he wrote about the contemporary history, geography, astronomy, philosophy, almost everything about India. He wrote an account of it. Next one, Minhas and Biruni. What did they write? They wrote the history of Islamic rulers and sultans in India. A detailed history of all the Muslim rulers and sultans in India have been written by Minhas and Barone. Third one, Amir Khusro wrote Tughlagnama during the 13th century. Tughlaq, okay, Tughlaq was a dynasty and Amir Khusro wrote the Tughlaqnama during the 13th century. So, got it? We are moving to the next one. What is the next one? It is secular literature. What is secular literature? Secular literature includes dictionaries, works on grammar, dramatics, medicine, romance, religion, etc. The books which are not related with the biography or autobiography or literary work or accounts of a traveler or foreigner, the historian, all the other books which are not of that category come under secular literature. Okay, almost all the secular literature had these kinds of painting also. A good illustration was given so that we could have a better information about it, about the time of the medieval period. Okay, so almost everything have been completed. We are moving to revise the lesson. Chapter has been completed now. Have a look here. What are the things which we learned in this chapter? What are they? In the first part we learned about the location of India, the boundaries of India. You did not forget, I think. Okay. Number 2, we learned about Namangalaicha, the name of Bharat or name of India was developed in the ancient time in different ways. That was explained in the first part. Then in the second part we saw time frame, 3 periods into which Indian history has been divided. Then major developments during this period we have seen, and finally we have seen the sources of history. There are 2 kinds of sources, archaeological and literary sources. Archaeological sources means all the things which were used by the people in the past. They are known as the archaeological sources, and all the written materials on soft surfaces are known as literary sources. So you have understood the chapter? I think so. If not, you are free to ask the questions, ask the doubts. You can clear the doubts. Okay, and I don't think that you will understand it once. If you watch the video once only, you go repeatedly 2, 3 or 4 times you have to watch the video, then you will get a good knowledge about this first chapter. Clear? So let us wind up today. We will meet again tomorrow with another chapter. Don't forget to stay home, stay safe, take care. Bye.